Welcome again to my channel. My name is Bronze Tranda. Thank you so much for those who are streaming live and those who watch our videos that we happen to put right on the channel. And today we are here talking with one of the Mwalimu. Mwalimu means a teacher. He taught in Kenya for many years. He has been teaching in Kenya for many years, and he taught many students right in Kenya from St. Joseph Nyamagwa, Kanga Boys, a lot of schools, as he will be really telling us about his history about teaching back in Kenya. Kwamba mwalimu mwenye amefunza sana pale Kenya. Labda leo tunaenda kwa kama tunaongea kwa maana wa mzee Moi Arap, his leadership as a teacher, because remember they told me he was a teacher, primary teacher, and of course a Gara teacher here who is going to be narrating about the story of Moi Arap. He was a teacher back in South Nyanza and in parts of Kisii, in parts of Nyanza province mainly, and I don't know, but he will be telling us. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Bronze Tranda, and today we are talking about the leadership of Moi Arap as he was the president, what he managed to do, and the bad side, and of course the good side of him right on the show. Thank you so much for streaming live. Yes, you can really introduce yourself, mwalimu, kwamba tuanzie hapo. What is your name, sir?
My name is Lubowa Samuel.
Yeah. Let's talk about your background about teaching back in Kenya. You've been a teacher for a long time. I think from let's talk about the history of Kenya only, not the history of Uganda.
Okay, I started teaching at Nyamonyo Secondary School, Harambe Secondary School.
Yeah.
In Ogembo.
Yeah.
Now known as Ikuja District. Then from here, I transferred to St. Paul.
Yeah.
Amasago in Keumbu. That is in Yaribale location. I taught here for 1 year. Then transferred to Nyamagwa Boys in a bus location today. And I taught there for 2 years. Then after that, I transferred to Nyamache Secondary School, where I taught for 1 year. Then I transferred to Sotik High School in Kericho District. But today the district is known as Sotik District for 1 year. Then I was employed by government in 1986 at Kanga High School in South Nyanza, where Hezekiah Oyugi was the founder and chairman of Board of Governors. Hezekiah Oyugi at that time was a permanent secretary in office of the president in charge of provincial administration. I taught here for 6 years, after which I was transferred to Nyansabakwa High School in Nyamira District, where I taught for roughly 5 years. Then after that, I taught at Nyamuga Secondary School, and I was the founder of that school, where I taught for 2 years. Then later, I transferred to Nyamagwa Boys once again, and taught here from 1986 to 1986, no. That was not 1986. I can't recall properly. No, it was 2006 to 2009. Then from here, I transferred again to Masogo Secondary School, where I taught briefly, and then I went to St. Benedict Secondary School in Rongo. Then after that, I went to St. Pauline Maliwa, where I taught for 1 year, and then eventually I went to Kanyasiriga, where I taught for 2 years.
2 years. That is an incredible history of Mwalimu Samuel, as we are talking to him about the history of teaching, and of course his fellow teacher, kwamba kama tunaongea kwa uhuru, tunaongea kwa Raisi Moi Arap pale Kenya. So starting from there, you've been a teacher for a long time, and we are talking about, because you guys were there by then when Moi Arap was the president of Kenya, we weren't there. So talking about that yourself, looking at his leadership, by then, those years, as he led Kenya from Mzee Jomo Kenyatta to him, and he was a teacher. You've been a teacher. Looking at him, how do you compare? Let's dive into his leadership back in Kenya. How did you get to know about Mzee Arap Moi, and looking at his leadership back in Kenya? You've been in many the provinces of Kenya, and you know how people are talking about, and of course you are educated.
I went to Kenya 1978.
Yes.
And Jomo Kenyatta was the president at that time. Unfortunately, Jomo Kenyatta passed away in August 1978. And that time, Jomo Kenyatta was in Mombasa State House, where his sickness became serious and passed away. And Kenneth Matiba was a gentleman next to him. Now, Kenneth Matiba expected to inherit from Jomo Kenyatta, and he had forged a letter to say that he should be the inheritor of Jomo Kenyatta. But then, according to Constitution, Charles Nyonjo said, no, it is not possible. The vice president must take over.
Who was the vice president by then?
It was Moi.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Was it Moi? It was Moi.
Yeah.
It was Moi. But Kenneth Matiba had wanted to take over by forging a letter, which was not possible. So Moi now became the president
of Kenya.
Under KANU.
The political party.
The political party.
That brought in independence back in Kenya.
That brought.
I think KANU was part of the Mau Mau, or it was part of the Mau Mau.
Mau Mau was a different movement.
Yeah.
In fact, the meaning of Mau Mau, Muzungu aende, Mwafrika aongoze.
But in Uganda they used to interpret it Mzungu aende Ulaya, Mwafrika pate uhuru.
It is Mzungu aende, Mwafrika
aongoze. Okay, so we've got the meaning of that. So talking upon how did Moi Arap rise from being from his teaching career to the leadership to the position of vice president of Kenya?
That was after, who was the vice president? Not Karanja. The vice president was the first vice president was Odinga, the father of Odinga.
Yamzee, because he was a king. I think, was it really done like as it was done in Uganda by then when Uganda got independence in 1966? Because the Kabaka was leading in Uganda. And the Chabazinga, the Chabazinga became the vice president as a...
That was not the case. Because Jomo Kenyatta took part in the Mau Mau movement.
Yes.
So when they succeeded, Jaramogi Odinga decided to allow Jomo Kenyatta to become the president. Then himself became the vice president.
Yes.
But the misunderstanding between the two came when they had a meeting in Jomo Kenyatta Stadium in Kisumu. And Kenyatta, the president at that time, led the special branch fellows to beat up people, including Jaramogi Odinga. So they broke up at that moment. Then later, he took on, I think it was Tom Mboya. Tom Mboya, I think, became the vice president.
Before Arap Moi.
Before Arap Moi. But he was murdered. Then later Moi became the vice president to Kenyatta.
Okay.
Then later on, in 1980, was it 81? There was attempted coup to remove Arap Moi. Fortunately, Hezekiah Oyugi, who was his permanent secretary, managed to escape with him to South Nyanza in his home. Until things came back to
normal.
Then Moi went back to Nairobi.
So you mean Oyugi was one of, he was a Jaluo from Nyanza? From Rongo district. Hezekiah Oyugis. He was from Rongo district. From Lakwaro. Yes.
He's the one who saved the Moi at that time. We put him in a Volkswagen vehicle.
Yes.
And drove him to South Nyanza. That is how he was saved.
Yeah.
In 1981.
Yeah. Who attempted to overthrow that military coup was between the generals, one of the remember I was really talking about, was watching.
These were two Lobos, pirates.
Yeah.
What is the name of that pirate? There were two Luo pirates, I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Who later escaped to Tanzania when they failed. Because they rose from a bar.
Yes.
And decided to take over the government without making proper arrangements to topple the government.
Yes.
So after failing, they escaped to Tanzania. Where later on, Moi, they were handed over to Moi when he visited Tanzania. Then he brought them back to Kenya and butchered them. And that was their end.
That was their end.
That was their end.
Okay, so talking about you, the teachers who were there by then when Moi Arap was president, talking about the welfare of the teachers and the well-being of the teachers by then in Kenya, how do you compare his leadership? And you know, you've been in also in another government, I think, of Moi Kibaki when you were a teacher, as a mwalimu. How do you compare that? Your well-being as teachers, your welfare as teachers, was it really very good?
The issue of teachers in Kenya is different from Uganda here. They have a body known as the Teacher Service Commission.
Yes.
Solely responsible for care, employment, and salary for teachers.
Yeah.
This is a body within the Ministry of Education. They are the very people who are concerned, basically with all affairs that concern teachers in Kenya.
Yeah.
And they have stipulated scales of teachers. And they are responsible for increase of salaries of teachers. Unlike in Uganda, where the salaries are fixed. And it is still the same system going on
up to now. Being a teacher in Uganda and being a teacher right in Kenya, where would you advise someone to go and do work from?
Kenya is much better. Much. It is not even comparable to Uganda.
Yeah.
Because like here, an arts teacher is underpaid.
Yes.
A salary below $1 million shillings. Such teachers are paid 4 million shillings. Whereas in Kenya, after graduation, a science teacher is given one annual increment on top of the basic salary.
Yes.
Which is not the case in Uganda.
Okay. All right, that is really good. Now let's talk about, I loved deeply so much to dive into the leaderships of, these leaders back in East Africa. When we talk about Moi Arap, we talk about Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and also we talk about back in Tanzania, all those leaders who have been there. Looking at you yourself, comparing Uganda, how it has gone through hostility life, and Kenya. These leaders, when we compare Museveni, came in 1986, but Moi Arap still was the president. But by then, Obote was there in he came back in 1980 after overtopping, after overtopping 1980, after overtopping Idi Amin Dada with the war that happened between Uganda and Tanzania when Amin attacked Tanzania, and of course, Tanzania reacted by coming back again to attack. Let's talk about the hostility of these leaders. Who is better? Who was a better leader? When you look at Moi Arap, you look at Jomo Kenyatta, you look at Moi Kibaki, you look at Uhuru Kenyatta, and you look at Museveni, you look at Obote, you look at Amin's regime too, from 1971 to 79, before we go to the Kabaka part of it.
I think the excellent president in East Africa is Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes.
And although Moi was a dictator, but he was still better because he had a spirit of developing schools in Kenya by what they used to call Harambe, fundraising fund drive.
Yes.
Which has improved most of the schools in Kenya. because now most of the schools in Kenya are studied.
Yes.
And again, the schools in Kenya are divided into 3 groups. National schools.
Yes.
Basically taken care by the government. Then provincial schools.
Yes.
Where the government employs the teachers.
Yeah.
And also sends some grant to such schools.
Yeah.
Then Harambee schools, where some of them are given teachers by the government.
Yes.
Which of course is not the system here.
In Uganda.
Here, and possibly Tanzania as well.
Okay. Okay, that is really great. Now let's talk about this. For Moi Arap being a teacher himself, you think because of him being a teacher, he adapted this kind of strategy for the development of school, or it was because of the system of it's because of the system of the government of Kenya, or it was initiated by himself being a teacher and he has a bloodline, or he has a line of being a primary teacher as himself?
Harambee system was introduced by Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes.
This was basically so because the whites had dominated Kenya.
Yes.
For quite a longer period of time. So when they took over, because at that time most of the Kenyans used to learn in Uganda.
Yes.
Schools like Chatu, Namongona, Rutengo, College in Mokono, St. Bernard. St. Bernard in Masaka?
Yes.
What other school? And the public school in Jinja here. Uganda College at Rugazi.
Yeah.
These were the schools where Kenya, and Bugema. Those were the schools where Kenyans used to come and study.
Yeah.
So there was need for Kenya to establish a number of schools to avoid Kenyan students going abroad to study. Because even at that time, even Tanzanian students used to study in Uganda here. Basically Seta College in Mukono.
Yeah.
And also Rutengo College in Mukono.
Okay.
Those were the schools where they used to go for school.
So this system has helped Kenyan schools to get better, to develop, compared now to Uganda. By then the system of Uganda was better, because when you talk about like students used to come from Kenya, from Tanzania, yani kwamba wakuje wasome Uganda, even Zambia, they used to come to Uganda to study. And now I think when you compare now with the education system of Uganda and Kenya, Tanzania, when you look at these education systems of these 4 states, from Rwanda, Burundi, those are 5 states. Even Sudan is part of it now. Even Congo is part of Mashariki Africa. Comparing these educational systems of these nations, which is now better? Whom would you advise a parent to take his son or daughter to Kenya to be educated from there, or to take him to Tanzania than Uganda? If you talk about that, Kenyan schools are more developed than, because we no longer see Kenyans coming to Uganda for educational purpose.
They are coming. Kampala International University.
Yes.
Even in Bugema. Those 2 universities are full of Kenyans.
Yes.
I think the system...
Let's compare from all level, from primary to all level. Let's not go to universities. I think universities, okay, would be like we have universities right in Uganda, which are better. I've seen a couple of my OBs from Kenya. We've studied with people from different countries, like from Tanzania, kwamba na hapa. But let's talk about from all level part of it, and primary school, which is more better educational system.
The systems are different.
Yes.
Kenya has 844. 8 years in primary.
Yeah.
4 years in secondary. 4 years in university.
Yeah.
Whereas Uganda here we have 7 years. Then 4 years.
Yeah.
Then 2 years. And then 3 years at university.
Yeah.
Maybe Uganda system, but I think this is all over. Stealing of exams, impersonation.
Yeah.
And you call it impersonation, and what else? Yeah, I think basically.
Yeah.
But to some extent, the Kenyan system could be better.
Could be better. Oh, okay, that is really super amazing. Thank you so much for those who are streaming live on my channel. Naitwa Brayo, my name is Brian. Thank you so much for streaming. We're talking about the educational part of it, and of course, as Mzee was there from 1970, we went in Kenya. You started teaching in Kenya from 70 what?
78.
78, even when that is when Amin was about to be overthrown back in Uganda, and he was there for a long time. So talking about the educational part of it from Kenya, and comparing Kenya and Uganda, which is better, and of course the leadership of this. So now, from there, Oyugis, you talked about Oyugis. You talked about the stories back in the days. I used to listen to those stories about he was being assassinated. I don't know who assassinated him. Was it Moi Arap, or was it what? I don't know.
Oyugi took part in the killing of Dr. Robert Ouko, who was a foreign minister, a Kenya foreign minister.
Yes.
At that time. And then later, a commission of inquiry was established,
yeah,
to inquire into the deaths of Dr. Robert Ouko, where later on Oyugi appeared as if he knew something about the killing.
Yes.
And this one forced Arap Moi to arrest Oyugi, Nicholas Biwott,
yeah,
the total man, who was a West Pokot
yes,
fellow, and a henchman of Arap Moi. So Oyugi was taken to Nyati House,
yes,
where he was injected with a poisonous injection, and then later set free, which caused a kind of illness which they call neuro disease. Then he was taken to Britain,
yeah,
for treatment by his four wives, who insisted that he must be treated.
yes,
Whereas the doctors had said no. The kind of disease that he had, they could not inject him with any drug at all, because that drug would become a poison.
a poison.
So they insisted, and he was injected, and he passed away like that.
He passed away like that. Okay.
So his death was planned by Arap Moi.
Okay. Now, let's come back. The many years you've taught in Kenya, what do you talk about? How many students, how many pupils, no students, because you taught in secondary schools, like can you count the number that you've been able to teach right in Kenya? Or you cannot?
There are so many.
Is it 1,000, 10,000, 20,000?
Over even 10,000.
Yes, yeah, over 10,000.
Over. Or even more, even over 50,000.
Yes, over 50,000 students who have passed through your hands. Oh, that is really great. And we will be really getting more of the stories about Mzee Samuel, who has been mwalimu kule Kenya for a long time. He has taught Kenya for so many years, and there are many students who have passed through his hand, and I believe kwamba wao ambali wenye na stream wanaweza kwa kama mnamuona. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving us this insight about your history, about teaching, coming up from Moi Arap, coming up from Jomo Kenyatta, coming up from all the leaders who have been back in East Africa. Thank you so much.